Hello, everyone. Welcome to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at all the latest news and transfer news surrounding Manchester United, and we're going to kick off with the big one, and that's news coming out that apparently Victor Osimhen has agreed with Manchester United. What are we thinking about that? Would love to hear from you. Get your thoughts in. Do you think this is real? Do you think this is something we're actually going to do? Because I'm still dubious. But we'll look at the other headlines that are also coming out of Manchester United at the minute. It's game day up against Wolves, so apparently there's potentially going to be lots of changes to the team. There's lots of youth that could potentially be getting their opportunities today, so I am excited about that. I still don't think we'll win the game, but interesting to see if any of these young stars, Goodwill Kakonki, we know that probably Harry Mass is going to start, etc. So we'll have a quick look at that. News coming out that Andrew Onana is going to stay. Because it looks like Ruben Amorim has got other targets and other areas of the team that he wants to fix before the goalkeeper area needs to be fixed. I'd love to know what you good people think about that. Do you think that's something that we need to, where does that sit with you? I'm not really sure it sits very well with me. I appreciate we've got bigger areas, but I think the goalkeeper is very, very critical part of the team. And yeah, so we'll look at that. We'll look at what's being said about Ollie Watkins and Eberechi Eze. We've talked about him before in this channel, and just look at what's being said there. And finally, a few little bits on Ruben Amorim himself talking about life at Manchester United and why he chose the job. Okay, but obviously we'll jump in with the top screen. That's the Victor Osimhen one that we've been breaking. But before you do, if you're enjoying the content, please hit the old subscribe button, bottom right hand corner of the screen. Get your comments in below. That allows you to get in there. Hit the old thumbs up if you're enjoying the content too. Would really appreciate it. But okay, let's get into the Victor Osimhen story. So apparently there's 3 different journalists in Turkey that Victor Osimhen has agreed terms with Manchester United and will sign for the club in the summer. Now this all sounds really promising, and this was breaking last night from Serda Ali Sirleke. I cannot pronounce that. I do apologize. Sorry, my dyslexia kicks in, and also it's a very difficult name. But yeah, apparently he's claiming that Victor Osimhen has agreed to join Manchester United in the summer, but no agreement has been made between Manchester United and Napoli. And then there was two is I got no pack. Apologies again. It says Osimhen will sign a 5-year contract with Manchester United, and the fee will be around 60 million euro. They're saying contract could be worth net annual salary of he could get an annual salary of 12.8 million. And then the third one saying reports that Victor Osimhen has signed for Manchester United. Now, obviously, this is all coming from the Turkey side. There's not a lot coming from the English side. I don't really know where I sit with all this, to be honest with you. I think this is quite, as it could be exciting, and Victor Osimhen is someone is one of two. Him and Jokere is other two, just because they've got so much experience. They've played around Europe. They've scored a lot of goals in European football, whether it be in Champions League, Europa League, or in the respective leagues that the players have played in. And I think it'd be brilliant for the younger strikers. Would be wonderful. I just don't see it. I still think that even if it is less than, even say if it's 60 million euros and it's around 50 odd million pound, I just don't know where we get that money from initially. Transfer window is open on the 1st of June, and that's for those teams playing in the Club World Cup. They get the opportunity to buy players before they go out there, or to kind of supplement their squads, which is great for them, and it's great for other clubs that actually have the money now to move and buy players. I don't think we have the money to do this in that early stages of the June transfer window. And as we move into the later stages of the transfer window, Manchester United then have to start looking at moving players on and bringing before we can potentially buy players. And I think Victor Osimhen will move on somewhere else quickly if we can't kind of produce the goods. We cannot bring the money to the table, and we may only be able to do that if we sell the likes of Garnacho and Sancho and Rashford and Anthony and all those players that are, especially the ones that are out on loan. I just don't believe those deals will be done efficiently and quickly to the point where we can have that money freed up and have a Victor Osimhen come into our squad. But as I said, as much as I would love to have an experienced striker, I just don't see it happening for those reasons. Yes, we can agree terms with them. Yeah, we can agree their wage, and we can potentially even agree a fee with Napoli. but it's how quickly can we get the money in from the players that we've got out on loan to cover the cost of some of this. Obviously, you might have, you don't, it'll be installments more than likely, so you won't have to pay it all up front. But even so, we still probably have to sell to buy, and I think that's what could scupper this in the end. And I do believe that is the reason why Delap is more of a front runner, because he is someone that we can get. If he's 30 million, I think that's probably easier to do, because you're talking 10 million over 3 years rather than buying a Victor Osimhen. So as much as the Turkey side has given us hope, I'm just not entirely sure I agree with this one. But if you good people out there think that I'm wrong, if you think that this is real and this is something that you love, please get your comments in below. I would love to hear from you, and I'll try and get back to you. Okay, and then talking about strikers, so this is coming out today, and it's saying exclusive Manchester United that Chido Obi is set to be given his first team Manchester United start against Wolves at Old Trafford today. Harry Amos could make his second start as well, as Rasmus and Dorgu could be benched. Coney, Scanlon, Musa and Monroe all took part in training this week too and could travel. Now Monroe's the one that I really like the look of, because in that semi-final against Aston Villa he was superb, absolutely brilliant in defence. And I think because that game was so important, because that game there was so much riding on that game, and unfortunately United didn't get through that game. Little bit to do with Villa played the game tactically well, in terms of they went down and they drew the game out. They never let United get into their rhythm of play, but fair play to them, they did what they had to do and they got through. But Monroe really stuck out for me. Chido didn't have his best game that night against Aston Villa. Chido's done well since he's come in, but he has yet to score. Harry Amos has also done very well. But I'm excited to see these young players come through, and I think now is the time to do it, because obviously all our eggs are in the old Europa League baskets. So we've got to try and bring these young players through now and get them, maybe some of them ready for next season, maybe just a taste of the first team to see whether they've got the capabilities of coping with Premier League football. So this is where we are with that. Chido making making a start today would be great. I'm excited about that, but I've got no massive expectations of this kid. If he starts and he does very well, happy days. If it doesn't quite work out for him, there's still plenty of time. He's only 17, as are most of the others that I've talked about. I think except for Seka Kone, I think he's a bit older. He's 19, but some of the other, Scanlon, Musa, are all kind of in the 17, 18, so they're really, really young. But I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table, and hopefully they can grasp their opportunity and bring a bit of excitement, a bit of freshness and a bit of youth and exuberance to that team, and maybe they'll pull off a shock result and get something today against Wolves. But let's see what happens next. So this is also what I was mentioning before, just in that Onana is set to be the club's #1 next season. Amorim has instructed his recruitment staff to concentrate their efforts on bringing in a number of outfield players, with a striker, 2 midfielders, a centre back, and at least one other wing back is on his shopping list. So Ruben's obviously got a lot of places out in the outfield department, apart from the goalkeeper, and I think this would be highly frustrating for me. Striker is key and a goalkeeper is key, because they're part of the spine of the team, and I think you've got to get those right. And I think for me, I get it, the wing backs are really, really integral to how Ruben Amorim plays. I totally understand that. But for me, you've got to get a goalkeeper who can make saves, who can command his box. There was talk, another story about Diego Costa this morning, which I did look at, but I've not brought it in, only because I've talked about him before, and I'm not sure whether he's the right goalkeeper. Plus, he's very expensive as well. So get your thoughts in. What do you guys think? Do you think we need to get rid of Onana? And I know some of you good people have already said that we do need to get rid of him, and you're with me on that, which is great. But is there anyone else out there who thinks we should keep Onana? And I'd love to hear why. I'm just asking the question, but yeah, hit me up. Okay, and this was a little information that came out of Marcus Rashford, that Manchester United are interested in a swap deal with Ollie Watkins, and discussions have begun. Ollie Watkins is a very good striker. I watched him yesterday, played very well against Newcastle. He's 29. He's got loads of experience. He's got European experience now as well. But at 29, is he the right prospect to bring in? I mean, there's a couple of years in him, but I think you'd be losing out if you were to swap Rashford for Ollie Watkins, only because of book value, etc. We would, I think, selling Marcus Rashford. I mean, maybe if it was, what do you think? A swap deal for Marcus Rashford and Ollie Watkins? I mean, personally, I don't think this is going to happen. I can't see this actually taking place. But it would be an interesting one. I still think I'd like to, if you brought Ollie Watkins in, I'd still like to bring in, then maybe you bring in your Delap as well. How about that? Ollie Watkins and a Delap. You've got your experience and you've got a young striker coming in and you've still got Rasmus there and you've got Chido coming through. Would that work for you? Is that something that you think you could hold on to for next season that would push us up the league? Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't really know myself, maybe. But okay, and then okay, there was also more news coming out that Ruben Amorim is very interested in Eberechi Eze as a key signing for Manchester United in one of those number 10 roles. You know, yeah, again, Eze a very good player, but is he like a Wilfred Zaha? You know, I suppose that's the question you have to ask yourself. Has he hit his levels? I know he's just breaking into the England team now. He is experienced. He is Premier League proven. Get a lot of that kind of words out. And I think that Manchester United could look at him, but again, he's quite an expensive price tag of around 60 million. Everything's 60 million this year. I don't know. Another one we'll keep our eyes on. I just thought I'd bring it in because it was there. But this is what Ruben Amorim's kind of the last few bits before I finish up. Ruben Amorim said, I had a lot of time to think in the past about my next move, and it took a lot of time to choose the club I wanted. I also wanted to come here because of the challenges it brings. If we do something amazing, it could last forever, and that is something you cannot find at any other club in the world. And I think Ruben Amorim is just looking to bring a kind of a fallen giant back to life. Phoenix from the Flames is resurrection time for Manchester United. Is that what that game was the other night? That unbelievable comeback, or is that just another false dawn? I'm not getting carried away. I did in the moment, and I loved it, and I soaked it up for as long as possible. But now time's to move on. Realistically, we're up against Wolves today, and I'm expecting probably the worst. And then we go into the next game with Athletic Bilbao. I think Ruben Amorim has a chance to make history. He has a chance to do something amazing. He needs the tools because he's the man to turn this around. I completely believe it. And God, maybe I'm completely disillusioned by the whole thing, but maybe I've lost my way. But I think he could do this, and I hope he does, and I'll back him. But he needs the tools, and he can't do it with the youngsters. So I'll just leave it on that one. Okay, guys, that is all your news for today. Thank you very much for joining me, Keith. This is Total Football Talk. And if you hit the old subscribe on the way out, hit the old like. If I can get 10 likes on this, amazing. If you've stuck around to the end, thank you so much. Apologies I didn't do one yesterday. I was actually away doing some filming at Everton's halftime with a lot of influencers for a new BBC show that's coming out in the June or July of this year, so keep an eye out for that. I'll drop in a little bit more about that. It was brilliant to actually be on the hollow turf of the old Goodison Ground Park, and working with Troy Deeney and some brilliant influencers. It was absolutely cracking day. Crossbar challenge, the start of the show that we were working on. Let's see what happens going forward. I'll do a few more days on it. I'll give you guys a couple of updates, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.